Good day, everyone. This is Mr. Major Mind. Welcome in today's discussion. Today, we're going to completely shatter the illusion of perfection in hospitality. You know when you walk into a beautiful hotel or a luxury resort and absolutely everything just feels effortless, right? Well, what you're actually looking at is a highly complex, honestly kind of fragile machine operating behind the scenes. In this explainer, we're going to expose that machine and fundamentally change how you look at this entire industry.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We've got 6 parts. First, the reality of risk. Then, redefining what risk means. Third, the hospitality risk dashboard. Fourth, risks in the real world. 5, the hard financial facts. And finally, number 6, why risk management matters.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the reality of risk, looking past the perfection.
It's really a stark contrast. On one hand, you've got this flawless front-of-house reality. Seamless guest check-ins, an orchestrated symphony of smiling staff, beautiful lighting, perfect service, the whole shebang. But right behind that wall lies massive back-of-house vulnerability. A critical back-end system failure, a sudden power outage, or a kitchen fire can literally happen in the blink of an eye. As researcher James Reason highlighted way back in 2000, devastating accidents usually don't just happen out of nowhere. They develop from small, unseen failures in operational systems. So, a tiny ignored water spill today? Yeah, that's tomorrow's massive lawsuit.
I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a general manager for a second, or an owner who just poured 500 million pesos into a new beachfront resort. Ask yourself, what could possibly go wrong today? What keeps those folks awake at night? It's those unseen internal threats, like a total failure in kitchen sanitation, or huge external threats that are completely outside their control, like a global pandemic that could just absolutely shatter that perfect guest experience.
Moving on to Section 2, redefining what risk means, beyond just danger.
Okay, the crucial shift in our thinking has to happen right here. Most people use a pretty simple definition, right? They think risk is just the chance of loss, danger, or injury. It's seen as a purely negative thing. But as industry professionals, we use the official ISO 31000 standard. This standard defines risk as the effect of uncertainty on objectives. Now, this is a massive shift in thinking. Why? Because it brilliantly introduces the idea of calculated business opportunities. Think about it. If you launch a brand new exotic seafood menu, the uncertainty, or the risk, involves things like food allergies or supply chain hiccups. But if you manage that uncertainty well, the effect on your objective is a huge increase in revenue and a totally unique competitive advantage.
As Ritchie and Zhang observed in their 2021 research, mastering this uncertainty isn't just some nice-to-have skill anymore. It is absolutely mandatory for survival in the modern hospitality landscape. We're operating in a world where sudden health emergencies, extreme weather events, and massive tech crashes are basically part of the daily forecast.
You can think of this as the 4-part DNA of risk. First, we have uncertainty, meaning we don't know exactly when or how something will happen. Second is possibility. There's always a mathematical chance it could occur. Third is consequence. If it does happen, there's going to be a measurable physical, financial, or reputational impact. And fourth, exactly as Hilston pointed out in 2002, is opportunity. Proactive management actually creates a business advantage. For instance, if you invest heavily in advanced air filtration to reduce the risk of airborne illnesses, you're simultaneously creating an awesome opportunity to market your hotel as the top choice for health-conscious travelers.
Let's look at Section 3, the hospitality risk dashboard, categorizing the threats.
Now, this 8-part dashboard is going to be your ultimate tool. A truly great manager uses this to diagnose literally any situation. So you have operational risks, like a back-end booking system completely crashing, financial risks, where currency fluctuations just tank your international tourist volume. Then there are health risks, like a norovirus outbreak on a cruise ship, and safety risks, like those wet floors we talked about. We also have to constantly monitor security, protecting against unauthorized room access or major data breaches. Environmental risks cover natural disasters like flooding. Reputational risks involve trying to handle a viral PR disaster online. And finally, legal risks, facing heavy negligence lawsuits or harsh compliance fines. Pretty much every single hazard you face is going to fall right into one of these 8 buckets.
All right, Section 4, Risks in the Real World, the Philippine Context.
Let's look at the Philippines as a prime example here. In this context, massive environmental and operational risks are entirely dictated by the local geography. The country averages around 20 typhoons a year. A severe storm causes immense financial risk because of forced resort closures and massive flight cancellations. On top of that, you have to deal with island infrastructure. Rotating brownouts seriously threaten your food safety because if a walk-in freezer fails, it ruins vital, expensive meat and seafood shipments. Plus, those amazing remote ecotourism spots, they pose a huge logistical safety risk if a tourist gets injured and suddenly needs an emergency evacuation. Managing a property in this kind of environment requires just incredible adaptability.
Which brings us to Section 5, the hard financial facts, profit or bankruptcy. I want you to let this number sink in for a moment. A staggering 70% of all hotel accidents are caused by simple, entirely preventable slips, trips, and falls. We aren't always talking about massive natural disasters here. Most of the time, the absolute biggest drain on your finances is a wet lobby floor that an employee just forgot to mop up.
Next up, the hospitality sector is currently the third most targeted global industry for cyber attacks. Why on earth are we number 3? Well, it's because of the massive, non-stop volume of credit card data and personal information we process every single second of the day. A security breach in this industry destroys guest trust instantly.
And if you happen to be running a restaurant, a single foodborne illness outbreak will cost you over $75,000 on average. And that's just in legal and PR fees alone. That is more than enough to bankrupt a small or medium-sized business overnight. These numbers prove beyond a doubt that failing to manage risk is literally the fastest way to lose a business.
Finally, Section 6, Why Risk Management Matters, the Invisible Shield.
I really want to highlight this quote from Pism back in 2010. He stated that guest safety is one of the most important factors influencing customer satisfaction. When guests walk through your doors, they are giving you their complete and total trust. They trust that your building is safe, your food is clean, and your systems are secure. If you break that trust, honestly, no amount of free champagne or beautiful room decor is going to save their satisfaction.
Ultimately, this all ties together into what I like to call your invisible shield. By vigorously protecting both guest and employee safety, you ensure business continuity, meaning your operations don't get shut down. That seamless continuity breeds deep, lasting customer satisfaction. High satisfaction builds a phenomenal reputation out there in the market. And that glowing reputation, that guarantees your long-term financial sustainability. You really can't have one ring without the others. The magic of hospitality can only happen when this invisible shield is firmly in place.
So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought for today's explainer. When you walk into a hotel, a restaurant, or a resort tomorrow, I want you to look past the perfection. Ask yourself, what unseen threat is lurking in that workplace? What small hazard have you personally observed recently? And most importantly, now that you know the 8-part dashboard and the true DNA of risk, how will you use this knowledge to stop it before it shatters the guest experience? Thank you so much for joining me in this discussion, and I challenge you to start seeing the unseen.